What if the greatest love story of your life began on the other side of the world? What if two tiny newborns, abandoned in a hospital in Vietnam, were destined to be found by a woman they had never met, from a country they'd never seen? In the summer heat of 2000, an American professor walked into a quiet orphanage in southern Vietnam and saw two identical boys sleeping side by side. They had no names, no parents, no future. But in that moment, as she looked at their faces, something in her heart whispered, "These are my sons." She would bring them across oceans, raise them with love, and give them everything life had once taken away. And 25 years later, that same woman would return to Vietnam, searching for the mother who once had to let them go. The angels asleep in Tu Dao Mot. The year was 2000. The war had long ended, but the small city of Tu Dao Mot still carried the silence of its history, streets lined with heat, motorbikes, and the laughter of children. On a blistering July afternoon, Luisa Duarte Silva, a Spanish professor at Princeton University, stepped into a modest house filled with the smell of milk and detergent. She was there to meet two Vietnamese orphans she had only seen in photographs. When she saw them, her heart stopped. Two little boys, identical, fragile, and sleeping side by side. Their eyelashes trembled in the light. "They looked so cute," Luisa would later say. "They looked like angels as they slept. I could look at them forever." The boys had been born prematurely in November 1998, weighing barely 2 kilograms each. Abandoned days after birth, they were found at Binh Duong Hospital, their birth parents gone without a trace. The children's welfare organization Holt International had cared for them since then. They searched desperately for their family, visiting the address on the hospital form, asking neighbors, hoping someone would recognize the names Du Thi Chin and Du Bin. But no one did. Several Vietnamese families wanted to adopt them, but each could only take one child. Holt refused to separate the brothers. The twins had already lost too much. That's when Luisa's name appeared. Luisa had always wanted to adopt, not out of desire for more children, but out of a deep conviction. "I wanted to give orphaned children a family," she said. After having 2 daughters of her own, she decided her next children would be from Asia or Africa, places where countless kids were left without homes after war or poverty. And when she saw the photo of 2 Vietnamese twins, she felt something shift inside her. It took nearly 10 months of paperwork, interviews, and waiting. But in June 2000, she boarded a flight to Vietnam with her 2 daughters and a heart wide open. The first 2 weeks with the twins weren't easy. The boys cried for the elderly couple who had raised them temporarily. They were confused by the unfamiliar faces, the foreign language, the pale skin of the woman who held them. So Luisa didn't rush. She took them all over Vietnam, to the beaches of Vung Tau, to the rice fields glowing under the afternoon sun. And slowly, something began to change. The boys began to giggle when Luisa played peekaboo. They reached for her hand. And one evening, as the waves crashed softly nearby, the 2 little boys fell asleep on her lap. That night, Luisa wrote in her journal, "Today, I think I became their mother. 2 colors, 1 heart." When the twins arrived in America, the house in Mendham, New Jersey came alive with laughter. Friends gathered to welcome them, cooking pho, chicken, and rice, trying to bring a taste of Vietnam into this new world. On October 31st, 2000, the family celebrated the twins' 2nd birthday. But there was one small problem. No one could tell who was who. So Luisa came up with a simple trick. She laid out 6 shirts in front of them, 1 red, 1 blue, and 4 more in different colors. Little Min, the playful one, grabbed the red shirt. Quiet, thoughtful Locke reached for the blue. From that day on, Min became Mark, the boy in red. Locke became Luke, the boy in blue. It was a small thing, but it gave them an identity. 2 souls, connected yet distinct. As the years passed, the twins thrived. They attended a kindergarten that focused on nature, learning to garden, bake bread, and build things with their hands. Their laughter filled every corner of the house, and their sister often said, "Our home has twice as much energy since they came." Luisa, though a university professor with a busy schedule, never let her work take priority over family. Every night, no matter how late she came home, she would find the boys waiting with 2 books in hand, asking, "Mom, can you read us one more story?" Those nights, warm light spilling across the living room, two boys curled up beside her, became the heartbeat of her life. They grew up inseparable. When they weren't playing lacrosse together, they were pulling pranks. Once, they swapped shirts and fooled their teachers for an entire day. Another time, they switched graduation neckties and each walked up to receive the other's diploma, and nobody noticed. Through all the laughter, Luisa taught them the same lessons she taught her daughters: kindness, humility, and curiosity about where they came from. Because even as they thrived in America, the twins never forgot Vietnam. Luisa made sure of it. She cooked Vietnamese food, celebrated Tet, and told them stories about the land where they were born. When they turned 18, she asked them a question. "Do you ever wonder who your birth parents were?" Luke said quietly. "Yes. I think about them sometimes," Mark added. "I'd like to know if they're okay." Luisa smiled. "Then one day," she said, "we'll go back." The search for a mother. In 2016, after 16 years, the family finally returned to Vietnam. The moment their plane touched down, the twins, now young men, looked out the window and whispered, "We're home." Waiting for them was an elderly Vietnamese couple, the same caretakers who had once taken them in as babies. When they saw the twins, their eyes filled with tears. They embraced them like long-lost grandchildren. For Luke and Mark, it felt like stepping into a dream, like walking backward through time. Every sound, every smell, the incense, the tropical air, carried traces of a life they never knew. But there were still questions. Who was their mother? Why had she left them? Was she still alive? Luisa decided she would help them find the truth. She reached out to the Vietnamese TV show Nu Chua He Ko Quoc Chia Li, As If We Never Parted, which specialized in reuniting lost families. But months passed with no reply. Then came the pandemic. Plans were delayed, hopes were dimmed. Still, Luisa never gave up. In May 2023, she sent the story to a YouTuber who helps Vietnamese families reunite. The story went viral, bringing in dozens of leads from across Vietnam. Among the fragments of information, a few names stood out. The hospital records said the twins were born on October 31, 1998, to parents Do Thi Shin, 16, and Do Bin, 23, in Binh Phuoc province. But when investigators visited the address, no one had ever heard of them. It was as if they had vanished. Luisa funded DNA tests for two women whose stories closely matched the timeline, but both results came back negative. Each time, the disappointment stung. Each time, she refused to lose hope. On her third trip to Vietnam, in August 2024, Luisa met two Vietnamese women, Nguyen Thi Mo and Nguyen Huong, who joined her search. They printed leaflets, traveled across dusty rural roads, and posted notices in villages where ethnic minorities lived. Huang believed the twins' parents might have come from a small community, perhaps too remote to ever see the news. Mo suggested something else. Maybe the young couple had used fake names out of fear or shame. Either way, the truth was still out there, somewhere in the green hills of Binh Phuoc, where time and memory fade slowly. For Luisa, the search had become more than a mission. It was a promise. "The day I met them was the best day of my life," she said. "If I can give them the truth about where they came from, that would be the second best." And so, on the twins' 25th birthday, Luisa once again waited for the results of another DNA test, for another chance to bring closure to the boys she had loved since they were 2 years old. A mother's gift. It's been 25 years since that day in Thu Dau Mat. The two tiny boys she once held in her arms are now grown men, one a construction engineer, the other pursuing a master's degree in architecture. They surf, they ski, they laugh, and yet, deep inside, a quiet question still remains. Who were the people who gave us life? Luisa often watches them from the porch of her New Jersey home, two young men with the same smile, the same heartbeat, the same eyes that once looked up at her in a Vietnamese orphanage. And she whispers to herself, maybe love doesn't need blood to make a family, because for all the years that have passed, the bond they share is unbreakable. They may have lost their first mother, but they found another who crossed oceans to become their home. Now, as they wait for that one piece of paper, that DNA result, they hold on to faith. Even if the answer is no, they will keep searching. Even if they never find her, they will still be grateful. Because sometimes the miracle isn't in reunion, it's in the love that endures despite the distance, the kind of love that begins with loss but ends with belonging. As Louisa once said, "The day I met them was the best day of my life, but the day they find where they came from, that will be the best day of theirs." And maybe somewhere, in a quiet corner of Vietnam, a woman feels a strange tug in her heart, not knowing that the two boys she lost long ago are out there, grown, loved, and waiting to tell her, "Mom, we've been looking for you."